All right, Ashley. It's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score on award-winning Hondas like the rugged and reliable 2023 Ridgeline. Stop by your Helpful Honda dealer today or visit ntxhondadealers.com to learn more.
Please do. Go there. Go to ntxhondadealers.com and go buy a Honda. That's
love
an
you,
order.
Honda.
That's an order.
Yeah.
You go buy a Honda.
And then you can listen to the podcast version of the show in your new Honda.
That's exactly right, because I bet they have like Bluetooth capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
That was
you can say like I guarantee you some of the new Hondas are like, hey, Honda, play Texas football today, and they would be like, are you sure that you want to listen to that?
Yeah. I wonder.
Honda's smart enough to go, are you positive
Honda's
that you want to turn that on?
Honda got that good AI.
Yeah,
you know
it's you have thousands of hours of musical like genius, and you want to listen to those two?
This is a punishingly terrible podcast. Are you sure? It's like, yeah. Anyway, if you got questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, etc., get them in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll get to as many as we can here in the next 14 minutes or so. So get those comments in right now. A reminder to go to our YouTube page to see all of our interviews from coaching school. We had a great time, and listen to the new episode of Tep and Step, which runs through all of the nonsense that we had. I did have somebody whose name was mentioned on the Tep and Step podcast reach out to me and wonder if their name could be taken out of the Tep and Step podcast. And I told this person, because I went back and I listened to it to make sure, because we're usually pretty careful about this kind of stuff, to make sure that we didn't like slander this person or put them in a bad light.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that this person's biggest crime was hanging around Matt Stepp, Mike Roach, and I.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's like, now I can see why you would want your name removed from that.
Yes.
From the public record. Mm-hmm. But, yeah.
Yeah, I like to deny at any possible time that I have not Roach. I like Roach. But you and Stepp, I try to deny.
Even 3BR?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's my favorite Roach.
3-button Roach?
Yes.
He was in his bag, man.
That's peak Roach.
I believe we described the button system for Mike Roach like the terror alert system.
Yes, that's fair. That's pretty good. Like, be cautious about it. All right, you probably
be vigilant.
Need to start thinking about your escape route.
Be vigilant, everybody.
Yeah. Then it's like, okay, hunker down.
Yeah, be vigilant, everybody. All right. Ashley, do we have any questions from the people?
Yeah, first one. Should they add a 7th week to the playoffs? No.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely not. For a couple different reasons.
So I want you to think about this.
I can do a logical reason and a personal reason.
So I want you to think about this. The 7th week, like... Okay, well, now I'm thinking about it. And the answer is still no.
Yeah.
Okay? I want to be clear. The answer is still no.
I have my reasoning.
However, I will just say that there is one potential read of that question that I think could spark an interesting conversation. Here's the thing. Right now, you have, I believe there's 128 teams in each bracket. Yes. No, 64 teams. 64 teams in each bracket, with the exception of 6-man, which has 32 teams. Right? So that requires 6 rounds to win the state championship. Right? That's just math. You've got, and also, you've already got players playing what used to be an NFL schedule of 16 games. Mm-hmm. 16 games is a ton of games, guys, especially when we're talking about young men and that's 16 games is insane. Furthermore, the schedule doesn't work out in the sense that if you were to add another round of the playoffs, you're going to run into Christmas.
Yeah, you'll literally be playing on Christmas.
You're going to run into Christmas, and if you don't run into Christmas, you're dealing with New Year's. And, I mean, we ran into this in the pandemic in 2020.
Yeah.
With, like, we were really worried about, like, okay, like, how are you guys going to schedule this around? Like, are there teams that are not going to be, like, that players are going to be going on vacation?
Yeah, and these are 15 to 18-year-old kids that you're asking to give up a good chunk of their summer.
Yes.
You're asking to go out in the heat in August and absolutely tear up their bodies while they're still growing, continue to play, and go to school. Like, that's the other side, is they're not just going to play. They're going to school and having to take care of all of that. On top of the fact, here's the other big thing that let me put on my small school hat here. You already, if your team is very successful in like the 4A and below levels, are playing far into basketball season. Yep. you would absolutely ruin high school basketball if you're going to continue to add more to the football season.
Basketball coaches have already kind of bit down and understood, like, okay, I may not have my best players for the first couple of weeks of the season.
Right, but if you go all the way through December, January is when district starts. You go January through March. I mean, the state championships for basketball are the second weekend of March.
Now, allow me to play a little devil's advocate.
Okay.
You may remember that at the end of the 2A Division I state championship game, in which Hawley took down Refugio, that Refugio coach Jason Herring went to the press conference, and I think, and I know Jason Herring, I appreciate Jason Herring, I like Jason Herring, I think we have a really good relationship. I don't think this is an overstatement to say, unleashed a tirade about having to play on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And having to travel up from Refugio to Arlington to play on Thursday morning.
Yeah.
This issue does not come into play with the six-man teams, because the six-man teams only have 5 rounds of the playoffs. They get that kind of super week, right? Where then, even though they play on Wednesday and 2 teams play Wednesday at 11 a.m., they're fresh. It's been 10 days since they've last played, right? At minimum 10 days.
Right.
If you were to build in an extra week, what I would build in would be a Super Bowl week.
Yep.
What I would build in would be a week off so that you can heal up, so that you can get ready, and so that everybody could travel and make plans.
Right.
So that there is not that concern of travel, of playing those games, and build it time. Now, you run into those same scheduling issues.
Yeah, because then 6-man football would have 2 weeks off and would be playing on Christmas. That just makes no sense. Or do you break 6-man ball into playing a week earlier or at a different location? And then that kind of goes against what the UIL is about of it should be fairness for all classifications.
Then it goes against the central site thing.
Yeah.
And so there's ways around it. I would be open to exploring that, of like building a gap week to allow for these teams to put together travel and put together all those things. But as far as adding another round and adding another game, that's, in my opinion, a non-starter.
Yeah, and I personally, I would like my Christmas. But I think that you can also say that about the coaches, about the kids, about the parents of the student athletes and the cheerleaders and the bands and all of that. I think it's good for everybody to have a little bit of a break after all of that.
Entirely agree. So we all like football, but I think we've got enough football.
Yeah.
What's next, Pickle?
Up next, let's go with, where did it go? Are you in favor of 7A or Division 3 in 6A and 5A?
I don't know. Is my answer. I don't know if I'm in favor of either.
Yeah.
I think we're looking for... I think any solution we come up with is going to create its own problems. I think, again, to reiterate, the big issue that people have is you've got teams with 5,000 kids playing teams with 2,000 kids. And that is a huge swath, and in my opinion, is an issue.
Right.
I'm not sure a third division is going to solve that.
No.
And 7A, we like... This is a take. All right. I think people like the idea of adding a 7A.
Yeah.
And I think that they think, oh, hey, look, like, I don't know, Florida's got like 8A or something like that. And it's like, whoa, like, it's bigger. Like, look at this. It's like a super league, right? Yeah. If you take a step back and you think about the ramifications and how that would actually happen, it's not feasible. It's a pipe dream. I don't think it's coming, because if you look at where the teams that we're talking about are, okay, take the 50 biggest schools in the UIL, right? DFW, Houston, maybe
San Antonio,
maybe a couple in San Antonio, maybe a couple in Austin, and then a couple in West Texas.
Yeah, mainly West Texas.
Like Permian is a huge school. Midland Legacy is a huge school, right? Those Permian's 4,500 kids. Odessa is 4,400 kids. Midland Legacy's 3,300
Yeah,
kids.
West Texas is probably the place that it's the most evenly competitive because they have so many of the big ones.
What if you just say anyone over 3,000 has to be in their own division? Like, it sounds good, right?
Right.
It sounds good. El Paso Franklin would be the only El Paso team out there.
Yeah, and what are they supposed to do?
What are you going to do with them?
4 hours every single week?
Are you going to put them in a district with Odessa? Do you know how far that is?
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing that I think that just is the fundamental issue. Say that you create a 7A. How does that solve the problem?
It does.
The problem is the fact that there are these small pocket of schools that are so substantially larger than everyone else they're playing. If you move them up to 7A, it's just going to be those same schools that are being affected by it. That doesn't solve the gap. The only way to solve that gap is to take those schools that have that population and split them into 2 schools.
Right.
That's the only way to fix it. It doesn't matter how many more classifications you add. It doesn't matter how many classifications that you divide. Those finite number of 50 teams at the top that are playing the 2,000 schools compared to the 7,000 schools, they're still going to be playing because they're still the biggest schools. It doesn't solve the issue.
Now, the division would be interesting because, and I'm old enough to remember this. I am. There was a time when I believe it was 4A, only 3 teams made the playoffs. 1 team would go to Division 1 and 2 teams would go to Division 2. And it would be a split. And so what you could do is you could say Division 1 is the largest school, Division 2 is the second largest school, and then Division 3 would be the 2 smallest schools. Now, you would be running into issues of timing. You would maybe have to give those teams the bye week, the Super Bowl week, right, in order to line it all up. You would also be adding, if you did in 6A and 5A, 2 more games.
I was 6A to the state championships.
We're already doing 4 triple header, guys.
Yeah.
Triple headers, guys.
We're running out of time to be able to play those games.
We're running out of space.
And 2, I mean, if you start adding that many more teams, like, it's just so ironic because all we ever hear is there are too many teams that make the playoff. There are too many teams, and it's like, so we're going to add more? On top of the fact that becomes a scheduling issue for bigger teams having to go play playoff games in smaller stadiums because there's just not the amount of bigger stadiums available. The math fundamentally does not work out.
Math ain't mathin'. And I'll tell you that the thing is that, like, there is maybe a solution that would require having fewer playoff teams.
If you're going to split divisions, then not as many people. It's like the top.
It's probably going to be top 3.
Yeah.
You're going to go 1 in each division.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, that's not going to be the fix that you think it is.
No.
And also, coaches are not going to go for that. Coaches are not going to go for 4 teams, fewer than 4 teams. Once that bag was open, like, there's no putting that toothpaste back in that tube. So,
and I think it's great because the 4 teams is what we've always said this, and maybe this is a personal belief by me, but the 4 teams is what makes the Texas high school football playoffs so fun because you never know when the Cinderella team is going to be able to go. I mean, Harmony, like, you never know.
Right? Yeah, I agree. So, again, I've thought about this for a long time. I think we like the idea of 7A because of, like, the name. Like, it sounds fun.
Yeah, it sounds bigger and better in Texas.
And wow.
Yeah.
But, like, I think the moment you start digging into the details, you realize that it's essentially not feasible. At least not right now.
No.
The state would have to change demographically for that to happen.
And I feel like we're in such a flux of so many more schools being built every single year. We need to let that die down a little bit.
I agree.
Not that it will.
No, it's not. I tell you, that's going one way. All right, 2 more real quick.
2 more. Okay. Who are some of the most underrated high school coaches, or you might take a look at it as do the most with the least coaches? Who's the most underrated Texas high school football coach that you're... allow me to be a homer. Matt Green deserves some... Go. You know that's true.
Here we go.
Matt Green deserves unbelievable credit for what he's done at Atlanta.
No, because he plays in the Ashley Pickle Memorial Indoor Facility. The facilities there are unbelievable.
Right, yeah.
Like the money that's flowing in there that you continue to make these big donations back to your school.
Yeah, the super rich
maybe at one time
of Llano County.
Maybe it was some poor school once upon a time.
Yeah, when I was there.
Now that DCTF money's flowing in, people don't appreciate that. I'm gonna pass. I hate to be a jerk. I'm going to pass on that because I feel like I want to do some due diligence on that question. But how about we table that for a segment next week?
Okay. I like that.
How about that? I'm going to table that. I will answer it, but I'm going to answer it next week because I want to do some due diligence and I don't want to just spout out some names.
Yeah.
So that's right.
I like it.
But officially, Matt Green, apparently.
Yes, correct.
I'm kidding, Coach Green. You're great.
All
right, last one.
What is the easiest item on your bucket list that you haven't done? I guess just something that you've always wanted to do that you've never done. Change your oil.
I'm kidding.
In your car. That's a good one. Oh, yeah, tire rotations.
I've been meaning to do that for a couple of years now. Haven't changed my oil. The easiest one that I mean, there's things that, like, I can afford to do that I just haven't. Like, for example, I've never been to a game at Yankee Stadium. I want to go to a game at Yankee Stadium. I could do that. I've never attended. Okay, how about this? This is true. I've never been to a game at Kyle Field.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to a game at Kyle Field. That is eminently available to me.
Yes.
I could go whenever I want.
Yeah, you could not have to pay for a ticket.
Right. I could go for free.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, I'd be working, but, like, you know what I mean? I could go for free, but I've never done that.
Yeah.
So that's probably, as far as, like, feasibility, that's the most feasible, the easiest one. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if we were going to go, like, Texas bucket list that we haven't done, I haven't watched UTEP play in the Sun Bowl. Like, I've been to the Sun Bowl, but I've never seen a game there. But if we were going to go, like, sports bucket list that, like, is really up there for me, I've never been to a game at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I want to go to the Coliseum, and I want to go to the Rose Bowl.
And that's just like a money and commitment thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like I just need to take the time to do it.
That's just a money and commitment thing. Of just saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to set aside the money. When Illinois was really cooking with Crisco last year, you may remember they had a really good football year. Go Illini. My dad went to Illinois. I think people may know this. And so they were trending at one point toward, like, looking like maybe the Rose Bowl was a possibility. It was never going to happen. They were going to need to, like, beat Ohio State. But, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I remember texting my brother and saying, hey, what are we doing if Illinois is playing in the Rose Bowl?
Right.
Like, that's a real not, like, it's not outside the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, because, like, I always think, like, I've been to the Masters, but, like, to go to an actual tournament day would be, I mean, number one on my bucket list. But I can't just buy the tickets.
Just buy that.
No, and so it's like, yeah, I think going to the Rose Bowl and getting to see a night game at the Rose Bowl, go to the Rose Parade and all that's probably my biggest sports bucket list.
I guess it's one of those things that, like, and this is something I try to live my life by, is if it can be solved by money, then it's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you, like my wife was in a small fender bender, like, last week. Everyone's fine. Don't worry about it. But, like, I remember telling her, I was like, hey, like everyone's okay. If it can be solved by money, it's not that big of a deal. It's going to be, like, we're going to go through insurance, whatever, stuff like that. But it's not a big deal.
It's one of those things you don't want to pay for, but no one's hurt. And you can fix a car.
And same thing with bucket lists, right? If it's available, like, now there's a certain amount of money. It's like, I couldn't have gone to the World Cup final in Qatar last time, which I'd love to do, but, like, I couldn't have done it because that is
I got to feed my children.
Right, exactly. So
a reasonable amount of money.
Right. That's why going to a game at Kyle Field is just like, why haven't you done that, dummy?
Yeah.
It's just like time and energy and stuff. So anyway.